Welcome to Walking Out Your Purpose with yours truly, Alicia Smith, where we focus on you reaching your full potential in all areas of your life through intentional dialogue and putting in the work. Let's get motivated to action so that we draw closer to realizing our life's purpose as women of God, wives, mothers, and businesswomen. Now come on in and eavesdrop on a conversation with me and sometimes a few others as we discuss having faith over fear from the pew to the boardroom and everywhere in between. I'm glad you're here. Let's get to walking out our purpose and accomplishing all that God has for us. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's what I use each and every time I upload an episode for you. Let me explain. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And they will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Now, why don't you go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back to the Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with your host, always doing the most, Alicia Smith. I know you all, it has been literally 3 weeks. The last episode at the time of this particular recording was February 14th when I did a special episode with the Hubs, my husband. So let me tell you all what has been going on. And this episode is really going to be a chit chat, you all, to update you on everything. And I promise we're going to get back on schedule and we're going to continue to bring doses of motivation and inspiration and stories that will inspire you to walk in your purpose. Okay. So we will be back very, very soon. But let's start with the beginning of the year. If you all remember, I decided to have a vision board party or Zoom event, which I actually do every year. Been pretty consistent with making sure that I set the vision, obviously through much prayer and time with God, and my husband, of course, to set the vision for the year. And so I decided to share that, of course, with others. And so I did that event and set my word for the year. And my word for the year, if you all remember, is fearless. And when I tell you that God has been testing me in this space, be mindful of what you say. And this isn't a good way, but be mindful of what you say because God is going to test your faith. And we know there is power in our words. And so I set forward the word fearless for the year. And I wanted to be fearless in my career, fearless in my marriage, fearless in life, fearless in making decisions, fearless in walking into my destiny and doing the things that I know God is nudging me to do. I always talk to you all about the nudge because it's real. The Holy Spirit will definitely nudge you. And so we started to look for homes again, if you all remember from the vision board. And if you haven't seen that episode or listened to that, it's on YouTube. I actually recorded the vision board party and instructions on how to set up a vision board. So please check out the YouTube channel and you'll get to see that in action. But on the vision board, I had, of course, a house and some other things. And maybe you know, maybe you don't, but back in 2019, our family relocated to Florida from South Carolina due to my job. And we, took us a while actually to sell our house. And so we didn't sell until February of 2020, even though we moved here back in July of 2019. And so that was obviously a little difficult time. And who knew that the world would change in March 2020? So the idea of looking for a home in a pandemic, right, was just minimal at the time, right? Everyone was trying to still figure out what is what. And we obviously went into quarantine and isolation. And so we really gave up on that particular journey. And so we picked it back up in 2021 and the market was ridiculous, which it still is, by the way. And so we got a little, I wouldn't say discouraged necessarily, but we just had a reality check. I'll just put it that way. It was a reality check, what we wanted to spend on a home and what the market was dictating was on opposite ends of the spectrum. And so I said, it's not really a need right this second, but we will pick it back up in 2022 because our son will be entering middle school in the fall of 2022. Or, 2023. No, 2022, y'all. And so I thought, well, we'll just, relook at that time and that way he can finish up elementary school in the same school. So February, we started again the process of looking for a home with our amazing realtor. And we weren't finding anything. And one weekend, it's as if the housing that we had been looking at again just didn't meet our needs or wasn't updated enough or what have you. And one weekend we saw 2 homes that we really liked. And so long story short, we moved forward on one of the homes. Now, again, we're in 2022. The market is a bidding war. It's a seller's market. Houses are extremely marked up and inflation is high, right? Rates are steadily increasing every day. And so we went into the process, with an open mind, but, I also knew, listen, it's a tough market. We'll see what happens. And that's where God tested me about being fearless, you all. And so we went after it. And with our realtor's help, we put together a really good offer. And the offer was being considered. And the sellers came back with a clause in the offer that we were really uncomfortable with. And we had really long conversations together as a family, but also with our realtor about whether or not we would accept that stipulation. And I think it caused so much consternation that our realtor, went back with our request, which I don't think that she really agreed with our request. But she said, hey, I support, the buyer. So, I will go back. And I promise you all, the stipulation that they wanted was removed. And we were able to move to a better place with the contract. And there were 8 offers. Ours was not the highest, but it was accepted. And when I tell you that is the favor of God, that there were some good things that we had in our offer, but if it's, in this market, in this day, if you're, they're looking at the highest, value that they're going to get, but also, if they're looking at, do they have a solid buyer as well, but they're certainly looking at the dollars. So I'm thankful and grateful for my husband, first of all, because he would not settle on certain things. And I appreciate that because I probably would have gave in to a couple of things and he stayed steady. And that was God again teaching me, are you going to trust me? Are you going to trust your husband? Are you going to be fearless like you talked about? This is a huge investment and you want to make the right decision. You want to be wise and you want to make sure that you're getting what you want. And so so we went into that and we are closing in 2 months. We actually are going to extend it because we want our son to finish school. And they also have a situation where they needed to stay there. So we're excited about closing. Actually, today is May 10th or March 10th. We will be closing May 10th, you all. So 60 days out. So really excited. So I have been literally head down into new home paperwork, appraisals, inspections, wiring deposits, unstuffing my 100 envelope savings challenge. If you watch my YouTube channel, you know all about that, or certainly on my Facebook page. And so it has been a whirlwind, but I'm so grateful, so thankful to God, first of all, for a home. Second of all, for a nice neighborhood. My husband has already met some of the neighbors, and so we really are excited about the newness that's going to come, and from our new abide, place where we will abide, and just again grateful. And another thing that I wanted to update you all on is just the process of getting ready to purchase a home for those that may be in that situation, or maybe you can share this with another person to keep them encouraged, because it's a lot. It's a lot to keep organized, and a lot of preparation that needs to go in with your credit, with making sure that is good. You really want to be in a good place, because that's how you are able to get a really good interest rate, but also just a secure loan and a smooth process. So making sure your credit is in order, making sure that you have money for a down payment. Of course, if you can save for a couple of years to get a 20% down payment so that you have no PMI, but also that helps your interest rate when you have more money to put down, because you're financing less of the loan. And so I would say, of course, that's a lot of money to save depending on the price of the house that you're willing to purchase, but getting closer to that number is always good. So 5, 10, 15, or 20% is what I would suggest. And if you can do 10% or 20%, that would be great. So you want to save for your down payment, but you also want to consider closing costs, right? And I think if you target about 3 to 4%, maybe a little high, but 3% for sure of the sales price that you want to save just for closing would be ideal. And you also want to think about furniture, decor, moving expenses. What are your utilities on average going to be for that new home, right? We're going from an apartment to a home again. And so, there's more house to light up, right? There's more water to, use in the home because there's more bathrooms, etc. So just adding up the expenses, as we say, count your costs, is important. The other thing that you want to be thinking about is you will have to put down a deposit, usually within the first couple of days, so that you can have earnest money, so you can show your commitment. And so you want to be thinking about that. And also any type of repair that you may have to do in case the sellers are not going to cover that. And so, as you can see, there's a lot that goes into preparation and being sure that you're ready. And, will you ever have every dollar for everything? Probably not, unless you're saving for quite a long time. But you want to be as prepared as you can. And you want to at least jot down what are these categories, so that you can at least start to think about, right, what that could look like. You want to have a home maintenance fund. You want to have maybe even a month or two of your mortgage saved up in emergency savings, right? So anyway, so those are just things that I want you all to think about as you are preparing to purchase a home, or again, you can share this information with others. So it's an exciting time. I can't wait to do the empty house tour and all the fun things that come with owning a home, and we'll post that on YouTube so you can see the video. But thank you all for your patience, and I want you to go back to your vision board. It's the perfect time. It's March. It's that perfect check-in. You're almost at the end of Q1. It's time to check in, and I'm going to grab mine so we can talk about it together. So on my vision board, right, there are things that I've said from a spiritual perspective that I wanted to do, which is to continue to do my morning devotions, which I use an app called Abide. If you don't have it, I'm not sponsored by them, but it's a great app. They have free 2-minute devotions that you can listen to. Of course, they have a paid part of their app as well if you want a longer devotion. But the 2-minute devotions are really, really good, and they give you a scripture, and they also do a prayer. So I encourage you all to check that out. And, continuing to do the podcast and continuing to speak. And so God is granting me those opportunities. I'm so grateful. And we have our house on here. and we wanted to do date night. I will tell you, my husband and I have been intentional about dating and having date nights. And also, we just did a date day on Friday, this past Friday. So that was exciting, and just went in the middle of the day, went to lunch and went to the beach. So it's exciting. And there are other things on here. We had planned to go to Vegas. We're going to change that trip. That's a cousin's trip. We're actually going to do Miami. So really excited about that for my birthday. And there's so many things on here, you all. So saving, you all know that we have been heads down into saving. We've booked our trip to Hawaii for my mom's retirement. And so there's so many things that are going on. And the last thing I'll call out is really around lifting as I climb. And I've been really focused on mentoring others and making sure that the next generation has exposure. We just celebrated International Women's Day this week, and so I paid homage to all those that have paved the way for me, and I pledged to continue focusing on how I could make paths for those coming behind me. And so I'm really focused this year on identifying those mentees, those proteges, and bringing them along. And so I'm excited about that work. Also expanding the network that I have with D&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion professionals, because that's what I do every day, and wanting to connect with those in other industries, but in that particular space, so that I can learn and grow and really perfect my craft. So, as you all can see, lots of good things happening. God is good. Of course, nothing can be done without him, and I would never not give him the glory and honor and praise, because he is due it all. And we're just going to continue to be fearless, you all. Again, that's the word of the year. We're going to be fearless, and whatever your word is, go back and look at the hand of God. How has he orchestrated things to really bring out that word for you for the year? Look back at your vision board. Look back at your goals. Look back at the aspirations that you set for yourself and the things that you wanted to get accomplished this year. How is God maneuvering that for you? How do you see his hand working? Because he is working. We just have to open our eyes to see it. And so I pray God's blessings over you all. Thank you again for always tuning in and listening. And I hope that I have encouraged you in some way to keep pressing, to keep honoring God, and to keep walking in your calling, your purpose, your destiny. God has something great for you, but you got to walk into it. You all be blessed. Well, everyone, I hope you took some good notes and have at least one action you will take to propel your life forward in pursuing your purpose. Let's get it. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Now go conquer your day and don't let it conquer you. Until next time, peace and blessings.